Hello! Someone got me started on my stories, so, we are working! I am exhausted. Hang on. Be right back. Who's that? Alright, I'm back. By the way, do you like my new model? I love it. It's awesome. Oh, flip, I opened the wrong thing. Why does OBS do that? What? It's fine. Everything's fine. For some reason, OBS always wants to open on one of my screens, which is my main screen, but it's just a screen I use to stream, so I can't minimize OBS, otherwise it'll pop up on the wrong screen. Anyway, I'm tired. Can you tell? Writing. We are gonna talk about writing. I don't know. I got started on socialism in Axel's country, but I don't think I want to start on that immediately. So, fun fact, map is now updated. Okay, welcome. I'm mildly hyper. Welcome. My name's Rayan. Sometimes I'm weird. I should do a thing. I want to show you my mermaids. I need to put them. I need to put it in my photos so you can see. Upload. Now, real quick, I am going to go in my photos. Perfect. I don't have anything bad in my photos. Hi! Welcome! Meet the mermaids! So, there are different types of mermaids. Hang on. Novian races and creatures. There you go. Alright. Mermaids have long tails, often 3 times the size of their body. They sometimes glow in the dark and have more fishy features than humanoid ones. They live in the deep sea and are considered a little monstrous. This is my quick little drawing of a mermaid. Sirens. Sirens eat silkies and other small animals, sea creatures. Fun fact. They hunt during the high tide and they sleep during the low tide. They have a short tail. Wait. Medium length tail. And like to mingle with humans. I did not put the face. I imagine it is something horrifying. Then again, these guys live with centaurs. So. Selkies. Selkies sleep during the high tide. They hide and bury themselves in the sand. Since they get eaten by sirens a lot, they bury themselves in the sand and try to hide. They don't move much during low tide. They kind of just say hello. I haven't figured that part out. Xanas! Xanas has much fruit on their tails. They have much stuff. They also have various details and are considered elegant but slow. Graceful, not elegant, but whatever. They like surfing. How does a mermaid surf? I don't know. They like surfing. Naiads live in lakes. They usually only live in pairs or triplets. They have like these algae kind of things growing on their backs and legs. They have a small fin and a small tail. And they tend to take on speech patterns of land creatures. Nymphs also tend to take on words. Thank you. Speech patterns of land creatures. They have wings to help them navigate the rivers better. They live in rivers, by the way. And long, thin tails with a single, like, fin at the end to help them navigate. They often help people find their way. To wherever they need to go. So anyway, that's the mermaids. Hope you enjoyed. I'm not gonna make this a long stream. My brother's sleeping next to me, so not gonna be a long stream. I was gonna hiccup and that stopped the noise. I had a wonderful dream last night with a bunch of very interesting powers. There was this lady who could eat spiders and then she didn't eat them, but she kind of swallowed them and then regurgitated them, and then the spiders became purple and imbued with her power, and she could mind control people that the spiders she ate could bit. So, mind control spiders. It was awesome. Then there was this guy who could break the surrounding area, like turn it to rubble. But he learned through the protagonist of whatever story was going on that if he made another hand movement, he could actually reinstate the rubble to its original state. Thank you, words. You are doing well. Hang on. Alright, I'm back. Next on Dragon Ball Z. I've never actually watched Dragon Ball Z. Anyway, Next, there was this guy who could go back in time whenever he dies, but he died so many times that he started like spiraling and going crazy. So the main character kind of helped him by showing him flowers. It was awesome. And then they worked together to defeat the spider mind controls lady. I loved it. It was super interesting. Anyway, powers and spells. On Novus, everyone has 2 powers. Except one. Power Thieves. Power Thieves technically officially have 2 powers, but cannot use their other power. Because their first power, Power Thief, negates other powers. So essentially, they cannot use their powers. Anyway, so, classics, such as ice, lightning, teleportation. Also, less classics, such as, I'm gonna make this easier to read, enhancement! So, essentially, being able to enhance any part of your body, including make your body lighter, or more agile, or I guess you can't make it thinner, but you can make it way less. I just said that. My brain's scattered right now. Absorption, being able to absorb other people's powers and use it as your own. Not as you use the same powers as other people, but absorb their energy and being able to put that energy back out. So as your own power. Beams of energy. I don't know what else to call them. They're beams. Necromancy. Force fields. Which don't necessarily have to be limited to force fields. You can make them spin and flatten them, and they can create shurikens. Round shurikens. Anyway, that's what one of my characters does. They turn their force field into shurikens and then launch them at people. It's awesome. Fire, light, shadows. Controlling shadows, but also like the type of shadow where it's like physical shadow. The shadow has a physical form and they can control that. You know, like anime shadows control. You know? It's good. Telepathy, healing. I'm gonna fix that one. Disintegration. Essentially, disintegration, they turn when they disintegrate something, they can essentially turn it into the equivalent of ash. It's not quite ash, but it's dust. It's dusty ash, whatever you want to call it. Telekinesis! For those uninformed, that is stuff like levitation and... You know what? I think you got the message. Air. AKA wind. Another one I have to fix. Transformation. The ability to transform. Water. Rune shifting. Rune shifting is a really interesting one. I'm also going to make it a little smaller. There you go. I need water. Hang on. Rune shifting. Essentially, each power has each element and stuff has a corresponding rune. And rune shifters, what they can do is they can put that rune onto their skin, and it becomes kind of like a tattoo. And then they can use that rune, and they can combine runes to create new powers. So, like, you have a water rune, and a fire rune, you can create steam by like mixing them together. Eventually the runes do fade. With the more you use them, the runes do fade. And so you have to constantly be putting them back in. That is the downside. But anyway, dimension traveling, because there are many dimensions. Infusion. Essentially, if you have a sword, you can infuse it with energy and attack things with it, and it makes it stronger. I am explaining this so badly and so wonderfully at the same time. Plants! Earth! Future sight! aka Seers, aka the ability to see into the future. Name color. Another interesting one. Essentially, it's someone that if he knows your full name, or if the character who's a name color is a he, but if they know your full name, they can control your mind. They control you, your body. This applies to preferred names. This applies to... So essentially the way the name color was defeated is there was this lady who had a name, got mixed with someone else, got given a new name, and then got unmixed, but no one knew the name of the of the lady in the first place. So she managed to defeat the name color because no one knew her name. Anyway, it goes by whatever name you go by. If you go by multiple names can be used against you. Illusions. Power Thief. I explained that. It's the negation of other powers. You can steal people's powers, but you are unable to use powers yourselves. Spirits. Summoning spirits. Usually in animal form. Sound. You can manipulate sound. Boom. I am having so much fun, and I am so tired. Elements. Just manipulate, not create, because if you were able to create all elements... So unlike light, ice, lightning, fire, light, all those, you can create them. But if you have the power of elements, you can use all of them, but you cannot create them. That is the difference. Drawings come to life. I'm not sure about this one. I will figure out how it works. Cancellation. Essentially the ability to cancel other people's energy. Mental manipulation. Controlling the neurons in people's brains. Yes, it is a wizard. Yes, you need to study for it. They have books. It is a hard one to use. One of my characters actually, instead of learning how people's brains work, he learned the minimum of how people's brains work in order to kill them, and then decided to put everything else into programming, so now he can control robots. It's awesome. Memory modification. Easy enough. You can erase, change memories, whatever. Metal. Another element. Ability to make music visible. I might actually change that and remove that just because it's essentially illusions. But we do not have illusions. Illusions. Sound visible. Now that's interesting. You know people who have that condition where they can see sound? Imagine if you could just force that onto a person. Now that's interesting. Invisibility. The ability to change the color of things. Now this is a really useless thing to have, but you know what? Maybe you're an artist. You do traditional art. You want to suddenly change the color of things. someone with that power can help you. Emotion control? Self-explanatory. You can control other people's emotions. And illusions. The one we just added. So, how do you like my list? It's a good list. Goodbye list. I'm gonna stop here because we've been streaming for 20 minutes and I need sleep. But thank you for tuning in. It was lovely seeing you. And I will see you guys next time.